Hey, how you doing there again, folks? Me again, of course, Brandon Wenzel. Come back at you, another offering off my sampler platter. Yes, indeed, folks, sampler V series V's I've been doing for a little while now. I go over there, try out food and drink items. I eat stuff, I drink stuff, then, folks, I'm gonna talk about stuff. I'm gonna let you know all that you need to know about hopefully delicious stuff. That time I'm doing this, folks, I'm not gonna lie. I just ate some pizza, and that's why this review is happening. But we'll get to that. Folks, it's super simple format. I'm going to go over there. I'm going to try out food and or drink items for you. Whilst I'm doing so, I'm yammer on about it for a bit. Whilst I'm doing all that, I'm in my back room today, which means we get Peter Can Thunderbolt poster. Ooh, Peter Can Thunderbolt poster. And whilst I'm doing all that, folks, I am doing something else. What is it? It just so happens to be, you'll never believe it, I'm wearing a super cool shirt. And folks, when I wear super cool shirts, I always like to highlight the super cool shirt. What super cool shirt am I wearing for you today, folks? What happens to be my brand new I Bet shirt. It's a little bit of a thing to say. What is I Bet though? And mind you, it's you got the I, and then there's a space there. It's two words, I'd and then bet. Like all right, but I'd bet. They are a local band from the south side of Chicago that I became aware of early in 2024. I've been meaning to get out to see them. Just one of those things where kind of just wasn't happening. Like they'd have a show, but then the show would get canceled, or they'd have another show, but I had to work. Just became a thing. But yesterday I was fortunate enough, like the stars aligned. They were over there. They were opening up for some other bands, and it was fantastic, man. They were great. I got to chat with them a little bit afterwards. Extremely nice guys. I really love what they do. Like, I think they're super badass. Their music is perfectly within my wheelhouse. I liked them so much, I actually got video of their performance from last night, as well as every other band. So in case you happen to be interested, those videos are on my channel as well. If nothing else, folks, I'd be more than happy to kind of point you in the right direction, because I think they're an incredible band. But anyway, what am I trying for you today, folks? What are we doing here? What does pizza have to do with it? Well, I just went over there and I got through reviewing some frozen pizza from from a brand called Corner Booth. And it's pretty good pizza. Go watch the review if you want my full take on it. Now, the thing is about me, folks, I'm a pretty, in general, progressive guy. I like, think that I'm open-minded to a lot of things. And I try not to get too mired down in stuff when I can. But for me, I do have kind of my own personal tradition, and that is, when you have some good pizza, you should have some root beer to go along with it. That's just me. Call me crazy. But to that effect, it's boom! It's IBC root beer, made with cane sugar, naturally artificially flavored since 1919. So here's the thing. I've had IBC root beer, I don't know, X amount of times in my life. Like, it's never been a go-to root beer for me, but it's certainly been around, and I've had it, and I've typically enjoyed it. I don't know when the last time I've had IBC has been, though. Like, again, it's just because it's not one that frequently comes up in my radar. It's like you've got like your A&W, you've got your Mug, you've got your Bargs, you've got your Dads. IBC, at least from kind of where I'm at, they tend to be a little bit more off to the side than those. But I found some yesterday, and it seemed like the perfect time to do it. So let's get a thing for the thing. It looks like that. We'll kind of Let's try some root beer. Oh, and by the way, since this is a root beer review, it's going to end up in my playlist called Root Beer Reviews, which is a playlist for just root beer reviews. It's all very to the point here on the sampler platter. Ooh, that has a better smell than I thought it would. All right, let's give it a go. Okay. Okay. Let's give it another swig. Let's. It's honestly a little bit better than I remembered. Because, like, I've never disliked IBC, but, like, at the same time, again, it's never been a go-to for me. But here's the thing. I'm liking it more than I kind of thought I would, but at the same time, I'm also remembering why it's not a go-to for me. Because so I've mentioned this, I don't know how many times. When it comes to root beers, like commercial root beers, there's sort of like two camps, I feel. On the one hand, you have like your mug and your A&W, which are very sweet root beers, very commercial. They're great for a lot of people. They hit a lot of notes. On the other hand, you have like Barks and Dads, brands like that, which are a little bit more root beers. You know, they're a little bit harsher. They have a little bit more complexity to them. I am on the Dads and Barks side. I like that. I'll do some mug and some A&W. I got no problem with them. But so for me, whenever I'm trying a new root beer, it's like, okay, where does this fall? Which camp is it in? The IBC in my head, I kind of remembered it being more along the lines of the A&W and mug crowd, but no, it's definitely in that Barks and Dads, which is what I prefer. But because I really like the taste on it, it has a little depth, it has a little darkness to it, and you can taste it has sort of a little bit of an aniseedy kind of flavor to it. Plus, I appreciate the cane sugar. You know, it's just always nice when you can get it. Um, so it has some really nice qualities to it. However, where it falls down is in the sort of the complexity, and like I said, it has a little depth. I meant a little depth because the problem is that once you get past that initial push of flavor, it really tapers off. Like it still holds to some extent, but like it really is just kind of like, okay, nice rush of flavor, and then it just thins out, and that is definitely why IBC has never been one of my go-tos because um, I like it. I like what it's doing, but I wish I had more of it. I also wish it had more of a bite. Like I like a root beer with a bite. So like Barks is one of my favorite root beers. Well, commercial root beers anyway. And there's like a tiny bit of bite, but not really, you know. So that's the thing. Like I like what it's doing. I like the darkness, that it has to it. I like that it's not just a sweet root beer. It's sweet, but so it has a lot of the qualities that I like in a good root beer. But again, it just like it doesn't feel cheap or anything like that. It doesn't feel like a budget root beer. It's definitely got more going for it. But I just really wish that it had more oomph. I wish that what it's doing, it did throughout the entire experience. If it could maintain that level of flavor that you first get when it hits, that would be a damn fine root beer. But because it does taper off, unfortunately, it has to lose some points for me. But it's nice. Like genuinely, again, I like it a lot more than I kind of thought I was going to. It's got a nice drinkability to it. It's good. But two questions have to be asked. Would I get it again? Would I recommend it? On occasion, and sure. Honestly, I think for me, again, this really just sort of re-cemented why IBC isn't one of my go-tos. Because it's a decent root beer, but that's the thing. It could be a really good root beer, but it just doesn't quite get to that level. So it's like, and then on top of that, availability again, where I'm at. Like I'm not saying it's unavailable, but it's just not the most common thing in the world. It's just one of those things where it's like I wish it was just give me 15% better, and this would genuinely be like a go-to root beer for me. But because it doesn't have that, it's like it's not gonna win out against like Barks or Dads if I want a really sort of classy high end root beer, I guess. That's not the way to put that, but root beer that works well for me. Um, but at the same time, I appreciate what it's doing, and if I run into it every now and again, I'm sure I would pick it up. Like, there's nothing I dislike about it. I just wish that it was giving me more of the things that I like. So, if I'm recommending it, like, yeah, I still think so. Like, if you're a mug or an A&W fan, you may or you may not go in for this one. It does still have those qualities that a lot of people I've talked to are big fans of. Again, the mug and the A&W aren't that big into, so it might not be for you. But at the same time, it doesn't have the same oomph or the same, again, like the same level of depth as some of the other root beers. So maybe it could be that potential gateway. Trying out some other root beers. But if nothing else, like it's a solid enough root beer. There's nothing to dislike about it. So, anyway, 5 things before I get out of here. Have yourself a great rest of your day, spectacular rest of the week, monumental rest of the month, stupendous rest of your year. Folks, go over there have yourselves a truly root beer-tastic rest of your life. Because when it's root beer, it's always root beer-tastic. Final 2 things. Number 1, try to bring some positivity into the world. It's not always possible. It is, however, always appreciated. But what you do can't do it all the time. I know I can't do it all the time. Here's what you're going to do, folks. You're going to try not to be an asshole. Folks, not always the easiest thing in the world to not be an asshole. Trust me. I know it. I live it. I'm out there every day with you in it. Life can be stressful and frustrating and just bullshit sometimes, folks. And when we find ourselves in situations where we have to deal with said bullshit, it's important we go over there whenever possible. Take a step back. Try to mitigate the level of assholishness in our lives. Hopefully, do better for ourselves and for those around us. Very final thing, folks, do the thing. Whatever the thing is for you, that's what I want you to go out and do. Folks, what's your personal take on IBC? Is it, something you're into? Is it, because I'm sure it probably has like its own range, or maybe it's a little bit more commonplace. And I could absolutely see this being somebody's favorite root beer, even if it's not mine. It has a lot of nice qualities to it. So if you've ever had it, let me know, and kind of, guide me down that path. Why is it your favorite? Or is it something that maybe like me with Mug, where you liked it a lot as a kid, and maybe kind of graduated to other stuff. So, but anyway.